You should probably stay.
Oh my love.
Colleen Hoover, America's darling when it comes to that TikTok book section at the bookstore, because let's just face it, that is what's going on. That's happening today in this country. Okay, you walk up at a bookstore. I remember how it used to be. It used to smell so nice. It used to smell so good. You'd be like, I like smelling them spines. And you'd walk up in there, you get your little Harry Potters, maybe you'd get you some Percy Jacksons and this and that. But as males start to grow up, reading has gotten less and less. And a lot of that is because of what has dominated the space. As you know, I'm sure a lot of females are probably watching this video, so I'm sure you also have noticed that it's either smut or it's, the heated rivalries, and it's the the billion other romance books. There's like serial killer fan fiction books and just, the ACOTARs and this and that, whatever. And so a lot of males are like, I'll read Red Rising and, get to hear about my boy Darrow and all these other people like that. But those are few and far between compared to what takes over the space. And so Colleen Hoover has dominated in that said space. And it ends with us with something else, man. It was something else. Initially, when I watched it, I was like, I've seen this before, and then the end of the movie, I was like, okay, this is a little problematic. I was like, okay, whatever. But I thought the movie, for what it was doing, because that's my other thing too. I feel like a lot of people, especially on this platform, they don't ever necessarily go into anything unbiased. Let's just be honest right now, because we all know hate is money. Okay. I'm one of those reviewers, if you watch me, right, where I'm going to give everything a fair shot, okay? Even like this, not a big fan of Colleen Hoover, whatever. And so I was like, okay, I like Tyreek Withers. He started in 2019, pretty much seen all of his projects at this point. And I really love Maika Monroe. I grew up on Maika Monroe. It Follows, more recently, The Long Legs. And one of my favorite films, The Guest, back in the day. What was that, 2014? And so, I was like, okay, why would they sign up for this? Now, more so Maika, unlike Tyreek, like I said, he just kind of started acting. So this movie is interesting because while I don't dislike it, like It Ends With Us or some of these other romance films, mainly because of its story, I ironically feel like it's a lot that's wrong with this space, especially like romantic films like that, modern day romances, all that other stuff, where it feels like the romance is just kind of second base to a plot that's not bad. The performances are not that awful in this film. Last year, I remember, a little bit off topic again, going back to Colleen Hoover, I can't remember what that movie was called. Was it Regretting You? That one because she does insane plots. Like in that film, if you didn't see that one, Dave Franco is going with this one girl, and then this other girl is going with Scott Eastwood, and the two girls are sisters. Okay, Scott Eastwood cheats on his wife with the sister, and the sister, vice versa. Like she's like, I knew it's your husband would cheat, and they both get in a car wreck and die. And the plot of this is that the other two are like, let's just hook up. Like, it just always goes to like, damn, this is crazy. And then like the two, and then like her daughters go, it's insane. It's an insane plot. And that's why you showed up to the theaters. That's why the women read the book. And so in this one, initially when I saw the trailers, I kept thinking to myself, I was like, this doesn't make any sense plot-wise about what's going on. So initially, you have Maika Monroe, who is going out with this young man, and they end up getting into a car accident. I don't know. They didn't like really give you a timeline. I don't know if it was like a year later or two. I don't know how long they dated. But let's just say within like a year, probably. That's what I'm assuming. They go to his favorite spot. It's his birthday, and after they hang out and probably have some sex and this and that, whatever, he's like, I want some mashed potatoes and some green beans. And she's like, shit, baby, let's go. But beforehand, they show you that he gives her an edible, and like he takes half of one or whatever, this and that, and so she's technically, quote unquote, on the marijuana, and she ends up driving, hits like some rock or something like that, and she has get a car accident with him, and he basically dies. But what she doesn't know is he's technically not dead. And like as she's like walking around and looking for people and like, hey, I need help, nobody's stopping for her. So by the time she collapses and passes out, the judge just pretty much throws the book at her. He's like, you just left that man for dead because you were on drugs. And so she goes to jail for 7 years, and she didn't realize within the first year that she was pregnant with her daughter. And so they take her daughter. She doesn't get to see, like she never saw her child. Basically, she just pops the baby out, and they're like, take your baby, and she doesn't see the baby. And so this whole plot revolves around her getting out of prison about couple years or something like that early for good behavior. And she basically goes back into the town where, you know, all these memories are here because she wants to meet her child. And I'm like, this is a good plot. This is because it's a fucked up situation. The parents don't want her there. They don't have full custody. His parents have full custody of this child. And she's sitting over here like, hey, I just want to see my baby. Whatever. Like, I was like, okay, the plot is good. I was like, I'm here for this. Like, it's nothing groundbreaking, but I'm like, I'm here for this. I like where we're going. You're setting up my drama. Appreciate you. So then that's where you're wondering, where's Tyreek Withers coming in this? So Tyreek Withers comes in. He's playing, swear to God, this is a black man playing, his name's Ledger. I said, who the fuck? You already, when I heard that, I was like, you knew this was some woman on a computer. She's like, Ledger. Have you ever met a person named Ledger? Anyways, so that's off topic. But anyways, so he's sitting over there, and basically he was the guy who died, who's the best friend of him, and he was in the NFL and all sorts of stuff like that. And so that was my initial problem when I walked into this film, because I was confused. If you see the trailers, I was like, well, how the hell is Tyreek Withers not gonna know who the kid? This is stupid. Even in the movie when they explain this is still stupid. So he doesn't realize that Maika Monroe, who looks the exact same as she did when they show you in the movie 7 years prior, he's like, I saw I saw her mugshot like one time. Your best friend got killed, and everybody's blaming this woman, and you're telling me you don't know what the hell she looks like? Boy, I'd been looking at that shit night and day, and I'd be like, man, I don't like this one. Like he just looked at it once? Wasn't at the trial? This is just, it's odd. That part I didn't like. Also, think it's very odd that this is his supposed best friend that's in the NFL. And I get it. They played off like, oh, he's in the NFL. It's like he never showed up. It's like Maika Monroe never saw him. I want to reiterate, he is in the NFL. Maika Monroe just didn't, like, one day, you know, just, oh man, I'm on Twitter. Oh, that's Ledger. Yes, that's Ledger. They show him at one point, he calls him. They talked on the phone. She never saw a picture. She didn't see what he looked like. And apparently, just a perfect thing happened. They were bursting through their ceiling. Something happened. Okay, and no, they just didn't have any clue of each other. So immediately trying to buy into the plot, I was like, okay, you're mentally messing me up right now, because in no way. Like, I'm just sitting there thinking, like, dude, if my best friend, I'm going to know the woman that killed him. I'm going to, like, especially the way they're plotting, like, clearly she didn't. But the way they were perceiving this, like, in the town, they're like, yeah, she murdered him. I'm going to know who that is. He just didn't care enough to look. But he cared enough to raise his child. Make that make sense. So that's kind of my first problem with this film, because that immediately kind of threw me out of the film, because it didn't make a lot of sense. Okay, it didn't make a lot of sense at all. And initially, like I said, watching the trailer, I said, this is making sense. But like, maybe he's like in the military or something like that. Their explanation, like I said, is dumber. It's worse. I would rather you just be like, I just didn't know, you didn't care. No, I don't like this. Like, I saw her actually, but like, you didn't. That would have been ingrained in my head forever. Your best friend died. I want to reiterate, he's dead. And so this whole film is about her trying to reconnect with her daughter. It's very sweet. There are some scenes that are very, very sincere. I really like the ending of this film. I actually think that it has a really great ending. And then that kind of gets into, like I said, my biggest glaring problem in this movie, the romance. If you were to remove that, this is damn near, I almost screwed up instead of perfect. This is not a perfect, I didn't mean it like that. I just mean like the plot and everything else, like outside that goofiness at the beginning, everything that's going on, like her trying to get a job, like, you know, like for example, she gets out of prison, she's trying to get a job, like nobody's hiring her and this and that, whatever. And like they're showing you like how people are treated, like when, especially like that. Her, like she killed him by accident, and she's even still getting treated like this because she has a record and stuff like that. I really, really love like how they were showing like how she was getting treated, how this and that. Like for example, the parents put a restraining order on her at one point. Like she just wants to see her child. She doesn't necessarily want to just like clearly she wants a relationship, but like she doesn't even necessarily want that. She just wants to see a picture of her, just something. And she's going through all these loops and hurdles and stuff, whatever. And I just feel like the film keeps getting stopped because they're like, wait a minute, Tyreek Withers is trying to get some ass. And it just is so out of place. And there's so many scenes where like, I'm sitting there thinking, like, dude, this is serious. Like, she's sitting over here, like, you know, she's trying to make ends meet. She's living in a shitty apartment or like hotel area. And like they're renting out rooms. Like everything's really sad and depressing. And like she can't see her child. And the man that she loved, the parents hate her and this, whatever. And like every time they show Tyreek Withers, he's like, I said, you couldn't look at her like that. Mind you, 10 minutes in the film, he knows that she killed him. He finds this out. And he's just like, and even like I said, like when they finally explain everything, they're like, oh, it's not her fault. And this, whatever. There's still so many moments where I'm just like, it's like your best friend's like, woman, that's weird. And there was the Colleen Hoover of it all. I said, like that freaky shit. They were reading that book going, sitting by their husbands. Baby, you're right. Yeah. Like, I was just sitting there thinking, I was like, dude, this is like, even like that, like when they started like initiating romance, like, oh, this is kind of sweet, whatever. But then like when stuff happens, I'm just kind of like, I feel weird. I don't like that. I was like, this is weird. Like the girls in the background are like crying. They're like, oh my god. And I'm like, this is fucking weird. This is not like a, oh my god, yes. No, that's odd. Like well, your best friend died. And he's like, been moving on that ass. Like, bro, what? That's crazy. That's really crazy. Maybe I'm different. I don't know, but dude, theater was out here living. People were crying. You had the snots, the sniffles, whatever. So I'm here to tell you this. Generally, I actually like this movie. Even though I have a lot of complaints about it, I've got a lot of problems, I've got a lot of issues, this and that, whatever. The initial plot, the initial performances, there's some cringy shit and even like that, that's mainly third act, where the cringy stuff is like the romance stuff. But if we're getting into like the her daughter stuff or this and that, whatever, how she's trying to like get a job, I liked all that stuff. And so I think that this is definitely better when you're comparing the Hoover projects and also stuff. I know we're getting Verity later on this year, which it's going to be a bigger deal than this for sure. Because I'm pretty sure I've seen that book. Okay, I will say that, so I'm going to assume it's a bigger deal. And so, yeah, I think I'm going to give this film a 6 out of 10. I would put it above average, especially on the romance scale that I'm kind of mentally ranking it on. The romance is very weak here. It just kind of sucks. Like I said, and then when you kind of go, oh, okay, it's kind of sweet, you're like, that's weird. You know, you just kind of sit back going, okay, I don't feel good about that. Maika Monroe gives a great performance. Tyreek Withers gives a great performance. Certain dialogue options isn't their fault. That's how that was written. I will blame it on the script for that. It's got some script issues, like I said. It's got some pacing issues. Got some problems. But if I'm sitting here to your face as a reviewer, being like, "This is a piece of shit," it's not. It's not. It's fine. It's fine. It'll. If you're going on a date, this will cleanse that palate. Like, oh, your girl wants to. Okay, this is fine. Like, it's not like you're gonna go see, you know, I don't know, Psycho Killer or something, or like Stranger Trap Creek. Like, this is decent, right? This has a beginning, middle, and end. It has a decent ending. It has a pretty good setup, actually. And even like that, I would say my final kind of complaint that I didn't really kind of count on all points for, they show you flashbacks throughout this whole film, and I wish that this would have just been the first act. Like, I wish they would have just showed you all this, and then second act would have been her coming back in town. I think it would have flowed better, pacing. That's just me. But yeah, if you have read this book, if you're a woman watching this, you've read this book. Hell, if you're a man and you've read this book and you watch it, is it like the book? That's what I always ask when I make these type of reviews. Like, is it like it? Is this accurate? Is this correct? I want to know. And with that, like, subscribe for more, and comment down below your favorite romance film in the last 5 years. And with that, like, subscribe for more. I'll catch you guys in the next one.
Oh, my.
Hey, how'd you know I lived here?
I'm not here to see you.